In today's video, I'm taking you up north to Culloden Battlefield, the site of the last stand of the Jacobite forces, and the final pitched battle to take place on the British Isles, where we'll be looking in the ground for clues as to how this battle came to a conclusion. Hello and welcome to Aviemore. Welcome to Scotland. Today, I don't know what's going to happen, but I wanted to try and show you something pretty cool that's happening this weekend, and only this weekend. It's a very, very rare special occasion up here at Inverness, the Battle of Culloden, the Culloden Battlefield site. They're actually doing an archeological dig, which is something they really very rarely do there, and they've opened it to the public. Apparently it is going to be open for a couple of hours today, so I'm going to try and race along there and see if we can catch it before they close it all up again. Might be successful, I might not, but I'm really keen to see this. We're just charging the car here at Aviemore supercharge station. Couldn't stay for too long because I know that we're not going to keep this archaeological dig that they're doing at the battlefield open for very long. It's just a quick thing. I'll tell you more about it when we get there. Let's hit the road. Alright, so we made it up to Culloden, the Culloden Battlefield. It's just here behind me, bathed in sunshine, which is kind of weird because we've had a really rainy day. This is a battlefield all here behind me, and there's a cottage there, the famous cottage from the battlefield. Main battle site is all the way on that side there behind me. We've come here today because I saw online that they were going to be digging a place today that they've never dug, and the reason they're digging there is it's kind of outside the battlefield zone that is owned by the National Trust. The National Trust only actually own a third of the whole battlefield site, so there's a lot left to be explored. The rest is all in farmyards and private land and all the rest of it. But the bit they want to dig today is a bit of an exploration of somewhere new, is the second line back of the government forces. So on the battlefield, where it is today, as it stands today, the battlefield, they know where the British government lined up and they know where the Jacobites lined up. They've got all that marked out on the battlefield, but there would have been second and maybe even a third line of British government troops, and they do know roughly where that second line was, and they're going to be digging there today. So we've made it just in time. I'm going to try and make it over to the site where they are digging some trenches and have a look and see what we can see if they found anything cool. I've done quite a few videos from Culloden Battlefield over the years. This is on my channel. I'll actually put the links down below to some of them. I'm just going to stop by here quickly to the cottage, which has stood the test of time. This has been here, reformed a few times no doubt, but it's been here ever since those days in the battlefield. Imagine being able to transport back in time to when it actually happened. Well, maybe that's what the dig is going to do. It's going to show us some artefacts. So let's go and have a wee look. It's just in the field over there behind the car park. And there's the entrance to the battlefield dig site that they're doing right now, just there behind me. I'm just going to walk in and see if we can go in. I think we can. I don't know why not. Let's have a wee look.
You might become a part of history now. Looking for artifacts.
So we're excavating in this area because we're interested in the wider movement around the battlefield. The actual clash happened, but actually you've got hundreds and hundreds of men, around the whole outside of the battle, moving around, getting into position. So we're interested behind the actual, in the second row of government troops, we think we're positioned right in between Wolfe's regiment and was it Lagonier's regiment. There's about 320 men in each. One lined up there, one lined up there.
From up high in the sky, you can get a slightly better idea of where the archaeologists are digging and why. The dig here words mark roughly where we are, and you can get an even better picture when you map this against the battle plan. If you look to the top right of this document, you'll see Wolfe's regiment, and it is here the National Trust for Scotland's archaeologists reckon the dig is taking place.
And we've been finding, well, we also know that the Duke of Cumberland brought his cavalry down the old road which ran the line of the electrical cables down in this direction. So, horseshoes. Pretty good indication there might have been some horses around. And we're finding, so we've got like this kind of sort of buckle or strap holders and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is quite nice. And then this, which is really nice. This is a button.
Oh yeah.
And it's pewter with a glass inlay in the centre.
Details
there you go.
Wow.
And it was, and I looked at that and I thought, that's a bit fancy for military, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the right colour and the right cut. And you could decorate it pretty much however you want. You can ornament it however you want. So when you look at some of the portraits in the visitor centre there, you'll see all the commanders all look quite fancy and everything. And they were sort of designing their own uniform and blinging it up themselves. So having things like that, you would find.
So would that been on their jackets or something?
So yeah, it's like a waistcoat button.
Waistcoat button.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then directly about the battle itself, so that's a musket shot.
Oh wow, can I
It's a
touch
musket ball, yeah, there you go.
That's incredible.
And we've actually found two of those. One of them is round, and this one you can see it's slightly out of shape.
Yeah.
It's got this flat bit here. That's because it's hit something.
Oh, so it's been fired.
That's been fired. Yeah.
Wow.
The other one we found is looking pretty mint. So
that's unbelievable.
Either it's going to have been dropped by a government troop here as they're looking out at the battle, or it's been fired.
This is an actual musket ball that was fired during the Battle of Culloden. I can tell that because it's got that wee rivet on the side there.
What either side is used on.
That is so cool.
Yeah, tell us.
So how did this musket ball, fired by the Jacobites, which you can see lined up in the green across the bottom, end up where Wolfe's regiment was standing? Well, where the blue arrows were, the Jacobites advanced into the British forces at speed. They impacted and actually broke through Barrow's line. This is where the fiercest fighting took place during the event, and actually where most of the casualties and deaths were as well. So you can imagine the Jacobites pointing in the direction of those blue arrows, firing their muskets right at the Barrow's regiment on the front line on the right hand side. And it's easy to see how one of those musket balls may have missed their target, went right through the regiment and ended up in the back line, or shot over their heads and landed there as well. I find it absolutely fascinating that I was holding a musket ball that until today was last touched by a Jacobite warrior, who in all likelihood would have perished during the battle. He would have loaded that musket ball into his gun and fired it, and that musket ball never seen the light of day since.
There's a huge amount of people moving around, even if you're not fully engaging in the battle itself. You know, you're milling around here, you're getting lined up, you're getting ready. So it's not surprising you find at least one musket ball that's been dropped.
Yeah.
But then if they're firing through these lines, one of them has landed over here as well.
And that's where we are,
So
roughly
we're
in there.
sort of in here, yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, thinking about the numbers, it's really important. So we know from accounts of the battle, got this. So it is just Barrow's regiment. So he's the one who the Jacobites broke through there around the crossroads. So the accounts, so 325 rank and file soldiers, 17 officers and men killed, and 108 were wounded, and only 29 survived their wounds out of 325, so it's quite amazing. But to give you a sort of idea of scale as well, so each one of these dots represents one man in the regiment, and this is how they were lined up. So if we're standing on Wolfe's line here, is his regiment lined up like this? It's going from roughly the corner post of the field up to where the top diggers are over there. And if you imagine standing here shoulder to shoulder, 3 lines deep, 325 of you, you're standing watching the Jacobites break through your front line, and you're just waiting for that command to go forward, and then your job is just to go forward and to go and fight.
Yeah.
And you've already watched what's happened. It must have just awful, absolutely awful.
Horrendous, absolutely
Dreadful.
horrendous.
And this would have been the furthest left of
Yeah,
it's heavy.
So that's the other thing we want to know about is actually that wider battlefield, because we've got about a third of the battlefield to look after, and the rest of it is, you know, so like you say, we're the furthest left. All the lines are going
over the trees.
all the way over, right through into the
It's
over
on
that
the other
road.
side of the road, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
spreads
also
right
for the
across.
maps, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if when they cut those trees down, if you all do a
So
great dig.
that's why we need to know more about these outside areas like this, with what's going on around here. So it's pretty good.
So how long are you here for?
You know, you've got the enclosure here of Culloden Park Wall. We know that the Jacobites, they had artillery in there fighting, shooting out. And that held its position really, really well until the government came round and just took all of its artillery around that way and just pounded that until it was lost, until it was gone. If we could find the foundations of the lines of this wall, same again with this enclosure, if we could establish where those enclosures were, look for the foundations, it gives us the exact line. You know, of the Jacobites, where their sort of muster line was, because they used those as points of reference. So they lined up there, organised themselves, and then moved forward.
Right.
So we also, but as you say, I'm not sure I think that's off our land, and I think that corner just about is over there. So yeah, we need to, you know, speak to people, work with locals, get a better understanding of all of this geography, so that we know exactly what it is that we're trying to look at.
Do you know roughly where the road would be on this? Would it be somewhere in the middle?
The road, the current road.
Yeah.
I think it's running. Wait a minute. Again, if we orientate ourselves, so it comes around. There we go. It's probably that-ish.
Probably there.
It was a hugely significant event, not just for the fact that it ended the Jacobite movement following the decisive defeat of Bonnie Prince Charlie and his men, but it also led to the end of the clan system. With over 1,500 Jacobites killed, most of them being Scottish clan members, and only 300 on the British government side, any of the Scottish soldiers fighting for the Jacobites who managed to flee the battlefield, most of them were rounded up and caught. Some of those were executed, some of them were imprisoned for a greater length of time, and others were sent across the Atlantic to the New World, either to work as servants as part of their punishment, or they took their families over and started new lives. And that's why so many people from across the world, but especially in the United States of America and Canada, can directly trace their ancestry to this very spot, and that is why it is the top historical site that anybody coming to Scotland who's interested in Scottish history or who might have Scottish ancestry needs to come and visit. I've been to Culloden many times now, and I can safely say there is a really strong energy in the ground. You can feel the sorrow and the sadness of what happened on that fateful day.
Oh my god, that was so cool! Can't believe that! I did not expect even to get into the field, let alone to get in there and speak to the people who are still just tidying away their stuff there. We got there right in the last moment, the last half an hour of their dig. Apparently they're going to come back next year and do another dig, but that was awesome. We got to see some of the artefacts that they found from the battlefield, and I got to hold a musket ball that was fired likely from the Jacobites over the first line of the government forces and into the second line. That would have probably battered off somebody's gun or their armour or something and then landed on the ground. That was amazing. But yeah, not got much sunlight left. It gets dark this time of year pretty early. But nonetheless, we got here in time, we saw it. And now we're going to drive down the road a little bit, probably to Aviemore. Maybe take some nice photos of the autumn colours coming through. It's gorgeous now. Oh, we need to be quick because that sun is going down quick. we made it to Loch Morlich in Aviemore just in time for sunset. You can see there behind me. Probably missed it by a little bit. I just wanted to come down here and see if we could check out any of the autumn colours, because it has been an incredible drive from Edinburgh up here. You can see the trees like that one there. They're just starting to turn, but here around Aviemore, still quite green. It probably needs another week or two before the colours are properly going magical here. But as it's on the way, I always like to stop here at this little spot by the water in Loch Morlich. As I say, very, very close to Aviemore, just because it's such a pretty little spot. But also to consider the magnificence of what we just saw there at Culloden. We were there for a really short time, like half an hour, speaking to the archaeologists from the NTS, National Trust for Scotland, and all the volunteers there. Such a short time, and I kind of wish that I had more time. I kind of wish I was there for the whole day, because what they were doing was really, really spectacular and amazing. And what they found was amazing. I can't believe I was holding a musket ball that was definitely fired from a Jacobite soldier who would have been battling in his way at the front line. And I think, you know, what would have happened is he would have aimed his musket towards the government forces. He would have fired, and it would have either went over their heads or it would have missed his target, and it would have went right past someone, and that musket ball flew all the way to the back line of the government forces. That probably, you know, ricocheted off somebody's armour or something, but then just sat in the mud. I've got a wee duck friend here, literally following me around. He's definitely hoping I'm going to be generous with some food for him, but I don't have anything. And besides, you shouldn't feed animals with human food. Anyway, that's besides the point. It was such, like, holding that musket ball, which was fired on the day of the Battle of Culloden. Like I said, probably ricocheted off somebody's armour and then landed in the mud. Probably then got trampled on, and then sat there in that spot from that very moment throughout history for the hundreds of years until today. That is so bizarre to think that. And I had it in my hands. You know, those guys at the NTS, they dug it up. What they have marked out as the battlefield there now at the visitor centre at the Culloden is only 1/3 of the actual entire battlefield. But the rest of it is all taken up by farm fields and houses and stuff that's been built over the years. But imagine, and also a forest and a road. A road was literally built right across where the fighting took place. Although where the battlefield visitor centre is now, and the memorial is where the fiercest fighting and where most of the people died is. Yeah, what an experience. It was just incredible. Highly enjoyed just going there for half an hour and seeing them, what they were doing and what they found. It just blows my mind. And it really makes me want to take up, not archaeology, because that's a proper profession with people who've studied degrees and all the rest of it, but, you know, I wish I could take up metal detector or something, because it's just awesome. Not that you'd be allowed to dig anywhere near Culloden, of course. But yeah, I went along there today because I thought you guys might enjoy it. Something a bit different and a very rare event, because they do not dig at Culloden or anywhere close to that very often. You know, it requires all kinds of permission and volunteers to be involved and all the rest of it. So a very rare event, and I've came and I've done a little vlog for you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed it and you got something interesting out of it. I would, you know, if they do that again, I will definitely try and get back for the whole day and actually, like I said, try and volunteer and be involved and, you know, maybe make some discoveries myself. So there's a lot more to uncover at Culloden, I feel, and what the guy was saying there is, you know, they've got a lot more areas that they want to dig in future, but that will have to be after winter next year now, I would suppose, and we'll see what they find then. And I'll definitely be keeping in touch with those guys and seeing when they're going to be digging again, because it's just awesome, really awesome to uncover history beneath your feet. But that was it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next adventure, hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.
If you'd like to learn more about Scotland and our history, including the Battle of Culloden, there's more information in my Ultimate Guide to Scotland course, which is available exclusively to my Patreon members as a membership benefit. Find out more in the link down below. Thanks for watching.